In his testimony at the state capture inquiry, President Cyril Ramaphosa admitted that the ruling party did not do enough to prevent the abuse of power that led to state capture. He's also highlighted the fact that factionalism and vote buying has made the ANC fertile ground for corruption. Ramaphosa says the party will not protect any leaders implicated in corruption. Political analyst Prince Mashele joins us now to discuss this further. Prince, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. So what's your overall review of what the president had to say?
Thank you, Shahan, for inviting me. Look, I spent the whole day watching, like many South Africans, watching the president. There are three things that, in my view, he has done today. Number one, and for this we must commend him, he has pleaded guilty on behalf of his party, the ANC, of the crime that is being investigated by Judge Zondo. He did not deny that there has been state capture, and he acknowledged that this happened under the watch of the African National Congress. This is hugely important for it to come from the president of the party. Some other leaders would deny that a thing like this happened, but he did so because he knows that all of us by now, we know because we have seen tons and tons of evidence that indeed there was state capture. So that's number one. Number two, which is where I am critical of the president, he has sanitized the deployment committee of the ANC. He presented it as if it's some toothless organ whose recommendations has no weight. But the truth of the matter is that it is actually a very powerful committee that determines the future of individuals who are deployed in positions of authority. It is not true that is some weightless committee that merely recommends. Its recommendations, by the way, become decisions in the state. The third thing that the president did is not to take personal responsibility for what the deployment committee has done under his leadership. Remember, he was chairperson of the deployment committee for 5 years as deputy president of the ANC. He refused to take personal responsibility that actually the deployment committee took decisions that were wrong under his leadership. So he was trying not to implicate himself. And the last thing that the president did, and this is very disappointing, he actually lied. He says that the ANC does not get involved in the appointment of officials in the judiciary. It is not true. You will recall, Shahan, when Mukwege was appointed, there was actually a huge backlash from the public. I remember Jeff Radebe at the time was Minister of Justice. He was even behaving so clumsily during the processes of the Judicial Services Commission, saying that indaba yakhe is straight, showing support for the appointment of Mukwege. People know that there is no Chief Justice of South Africa who was appointed since 1994 where the ANC had no interest or had no influence. It is not true that the ANC does not get involved in the appointment of judicial officers. So in my view, I think the president did the good thing to acknowledge that the ANC did something seriously wrong. But number two, he, in my view, prevaricated and danced on eggs. He did not tell the truth and nothing else but the truth.
Yeah. So, of course, it was a cautioned approach to what he was saying, because ultimately he could implicate the party even further here. So let's talk about the party funding that was mentioned towards the end. And the president says that, you know, it's revolutionary that we have the Party Act in place. But we well know that there have been questions about the president's political party funding, especially when he was running for presidency within the ANC.
Exactly. And of course, that question was not concluded. It's going to be taken further tomorrow. It will be interesting to get into the details of his own personal funding within the ANC. Because you see, there are some in society who would like to project him as Mr. Clean. But we know that there is nothing that Jacob Zuma has done in terms of raising funding for his ex-wife's campaign in the ANC that Cyril Ramaphosa himself did not do. There are all manner of dodgy characters who contributed money for Cyril Ramaphosa to become president of the ANC. In other words, the appointment of Cyril Ramaphosa, the election of Cyril Ramaphosa as president of the ANC was influenced by private actors. And that is not different, by the way, from the Guptas influencing Jacob Zuma. So we will see what he's going to say about. And we also know, by the way, that Bosasa did contribute money to Cyril Ramaphosa. Yeah. So we are not dealing with Mr. Clean here, but he is very skillful, by the way, at dodging questions, speaking in general terms without attending to specifics. But we'll see how hard he will be pressed tomorrow on this question.
Yeah, very quickly, Prince. Also, Justice Raymond Zondo asked how it was possible that almost all boards at SOEs didn't do their jobs correctly. And the president simply responded by saying it's a massive failure. And that's why the commission is also here to probe corruption. He admits that things went horribly wrong.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. All of the appointments to boards of state-owned enterprises that happened within the 5 years that Cyril Ramaphosa was chairperson of the deployment committee happened under him. So when the Deputy Chief Justice pressed him, instead of admitting that he also took part in the mess, he throws the ball back to the commission as if he had no power and he was not involved in the processes. The truth is this: Cyril Ramaphosa was chairperson of the ANC's deployment committee. All of those appointments were made with his knowledge and was leading the process. So in other words, he is as guilty as his own party in corruption.